Okay, so here we go with the second video on logical operations. Last time we looked at the basic logical operations greater than, less than, or equal to, and the fact that we would always get a result of true or false. Before we go on and look at the OR function, I want to give you a practical example of how you can apply them, and that's on this logical operations worksheet that's a part of the workbook that's available on Blackboard. Suppose I want to put in here a true statement in this column here if the actual hours is more than the estimated hours. Well, here's the actual and here's the estimated. So here we were going to get a false because the actual hours is less. Down here we should get a true because the actual hours is more than the estimated hours. So let's just write, first let's write an arithmetic expression that you're used to. So I can say like this, actual hours plus estimated hours, and it's formatted as a date. Let's just change that to a number like that, and you can see that the addition of the two is 59. Well, that's an arithmetic operation. All we have to do to convert this to a logical operation is replace the plus with a greater than symbol, for example, and now we'll get a true or false that says, is E2 greater than D2? So instead of doing an addition with the plus operator, we've changed it to the greater than operator, and now instead of doing an addition, we're asking a question. Is one greater than the other? Now, I can copy this down the column like so, and I will get trues where the actual hours is greater than the estimated hours, and I'll get falses where it's less. So now we've asked a question and gotten an answer that's either true or false. Another thing we might want to do is say, well, I want a true in this column if the work group happens to be east. So to do that, I just say equals and point at east over here, and then say equals again, because now I'm comparing it, I'm testing it, is it equal to east? And type east in quotes like that. So if A2 is equal to east, I'll get a true, and where it's not, I won't. So here we used an equal sign instead of a plus or a minus, because equal is a comparison operator. It compares A2 to east. And because it's a comparison and because we're asking a question, is A2 equal to east, we get a logical result, namely true or false. Now, let's go on and look at the OR function. This allows us to ask a little more complicated questions than we could before. The OR function takes a couple of arguments, and it looks at each one of them and says, if any of them is true, then the whole result is true. Let's start out with a practical example first. Is the priority for this work order either a B or a C? Now, I can check B by itself. That equals B. And if I write a simple expression like that, then I'll get a true wherever it's a B, and I'll get a false wherever it's something else. But I'm asking the question, is it either B or C? So to do that, to ask a little more complicated question that has the word OR in it, I have to use the OR function. So I'm going to take this and wrap it with an OR around that, and then I'm going to add a second argument, is C2 equal to C? So now I'm checking to see if the value in C2 is either a B or a C. And if either of them is, then I get a true. So down here, this was false before when we were just checking for B, but now it's a true. So anywhere I get a B or a C, I will get a true result because of the OR function. The basic rule of OR is if any argument is true, the OR returns true. It takes only one to be true. And there is a way of evaluating it kind of in a table because there aren't very many combinations. Something called a truth table. This is a truth table here. Now, if I write in here the result, I can say equals or this, comma, and that. Now, let's just propagate it and we'll come back and look at which one of them does. This returns a false because both arguments are false. Over here, both of these are false. This returns a true because one of them is true. So this one returns a true because one of them is true. And finally, this one returns a true because one of them is true. All it takes is one of the arguments to be true, and the result will be true. So the OR is used to build slightly more complex questions that allow you to check for more than one condition. So that's the OR function. Next we'll go on with the AND.